Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So in yesterday's video, I was talking about the global shift in manufacturing that has taken place and how this is an economic force. I got a lot of pushback from people saying, no, this is more of a political outcome that is happening. So in the video, I was talking about the global shift in manufacturing and how it gets cheaper to manufacture in one location as opposed to the other. And this shift in cheaper manufacturing then starts going to, the most industrious people out there who eventually raise their standard of living, causing the manufacturing within that nation to rise. And then again, the shift in manufacturing happens again. So that's kind of like my idea in a nutshell, not to really describe it very well that way, but that's kind of the idea behind it. The other idea behind it is that it's a political outcome, like the political decisions within like tariffs and duties and taxes and just wars and whatever has caused the shift in manufacturing to take place. Like it's literally the outcome of who it is that's in charge, our leadership. So now I thought about this and I think, okay, well, maybe we can describe this in story form so that it can be better understood and why it's more of an economic force and not so much a political force that is causing the shift in global manufacturing out there. Now, when I think about it from an economic force, I think about it like the laws of nature. Like there's just certain outcomes that just come from it, right? And when you think about it in this fashion, it's a little easier to understand than it is like, oh, it's this person's fault or it's that person's fault. When you think about it in like, no, this is just human nature, it's greed is natural, and this is the natural outcome because of it. People want to raise their standard of livings and, whatever. You can just see like the cause and effects from things starting to happen, right? As that happens, then you can see where the shifts will begin to take place because of that, right? It almost becomes like oversimplified in a way when you see it this way. Now, again, like how do we understand it from an economic force and not so much a political one? Because like really all wars are political outcomes, right? In my opinion, there wouldn't be a war if it wasn't for the fact that the economy is in the condition it is in, that would then give the political environment to have a war anyway, right? So it's not a political outcome, it's an economic outcome due to the fact of the economy being in the condition that it is in. Right? So again, let's think about this in a simplified story form. Let's imagine two guys who are working on a job site. One of them is working on a 3-story building, or way up high on the 3rd story of a building. The other one's down on the ground doing groundwork. So one of them has carried the tools, material, everything he needs up to the 3rd story, while the other one is down on the ground waiting for instructions to either get tools or material or whatever it is the guy up in the air needs. Now, as an observer of the job site, you're way up on this hill with maybe a set of binoculars. You can't really hear what's going on the job site. You can only really visually see it. So you don't know exactly what's being said, although, you can kind of hear some of the noises that are happening there, right? Out of the blue, a tool falls, a hammer falls from the 3rd story, hits the guy down on the ground and kills him. Now, you saw the hammer falling, but you didn't necessarily see how the hammer fell, right? And it kills the guy. And now the rumors begin, people gather around and the rumors begin to fly about what happened, right? A lot of people say, hey, it was an accident. The guy dropped it. The people said, no, wait a minute. These guys are brothers and there's, I bet you, an insurance claim that this guy's trying to get since this one's heavily in debt. And the rumors start flying like that. Another one's like, oh, no, this is a love affair thing, man. That guy is a murderer, right? And so the rumors start flying about him being a murderer and all the, accidents that happen. And people are like, no, man, this is negligence from the job site itself, All these things start to fly, right? And people gather around and talk about why it is that this hammer has now killed this person, right? And this is generally how the economy is discussed, right? It'll be from this person's fault or that person's fault or the rumors, allegations, or, for whatever reasons, right? Now, as an observer of it, you were up on the hill. You can't really hear what's going on, right? And so you go down to the job site and you're hearing people say, trying to talk and figure out what it is that, the reason is behind it. And you go up and you say, it's gravity. It was gravitational force that killed him. The hammer was heavy It was high up, and the gravitational force hit him in the head, and it killed him. What is confusing about this? Right? Everybody else is looking for the reasons why it occurred, but very few people are looking at the reasons why it occurred for the natural forces that it was. Right? See, you could add force to it, like in a political fashion, threw the hammer down, right? And you can say it was a political action that took place, right? Another person could say, no, I just simply let go of it and nature took its course, right? I mean, I wasn't really trying to kill anybody. I just let go of the hammer, right? See how the difference is inside of this. The outcome is the same, right? But a lot of people want to look at it in whatever fashion story that best suits the narrative that they believe is going on, right? So looking at it from a naturally occurring thing, saying, no, gravity forced it to the ground, this guy was in the way, his head was, and he died from that. Right? So now, when you look at the reasonings behind it all, it comes down to that dude not understanding gravity, how gravity worked. Right? The guy on the ground. I don't mean to blame the victim, but ultimately that's the person responsible for his own life. And to make sure that he is in a safe place. Responsible for his own actions. See, this is the whole point of understanding the economic forces that are out there. It's much like the laws of nature of gravity. If you're standing there going, nothing can hurt me because they told me that I should be here and they said that this is a safe place and that guy has nothing to really do with me and I don't think that he would ever hurt me. Right? All those things. But if you truly understand the economic forces or the natural forces within it, right? Understanding how gravity works, you'd be like, maybe I shouldn't stand right here. Maybe I shouldn't position myself like this, right? No matter what anybody says, no matter how safe they say I am, right? This is the point that I'm trying to make about it, is that when it comes down to economic forces that are out there, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. It doesn't matter who got hurt by it. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. What matters is understanding why the economic forces are actually taking place, the naturally occurring things, right? It's much like gravity. Now, whether it's not somebody added to the gravity, right, by actually throwing, letting go, being negligent, right, accident, whatever happens, right, the economic force or the natural force is going to occur. And that's the point behind it. See, you think about it from this kind of fashion. If they're, like a lot of people say, no, tariffs is political. That's that's a force on the economy, right? Taxes, blockades, whatever, right? You can come up with all these things. None of that would have existed if it wasn't for the shift in manufacturing that they're trying to prevent from taking place. Right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. If it wasn't an economic force that was trying to be prevented, then it wouldn't be taken. The whole thing wouldn't exist on its own. It's like saying, okay, like the taxes, the duties, the tariffs is like the safety net, right? For the guy who's working up on the tower, in case they drop something, it doesn't damage the people down below. Right? Because the naturally occurring economic force, the naturally occurring force of gravity is the same, right? I mean, it's the same type of force, right? It's going to occur. Now, you can put the net up, the tariffs, right, to prevent it from taking place, but it's still occurring. And that's the point of the net. And that's why, like, most people end up putting, like, the blame on politics or society or something else instead of looking at it for what it really is. And that's that naturally occurring event. Wow. I really rambled on this morning. I'm sorry, guys, but I hope you get my point behind it. Uneducated economist, you let me know.